Caught on tape. Amy's undercover sting saves Roloff farms from Caryn. LPBW update. There is a moment in every family story when everything changes. A moment when trust is broken, when loyalties are tested, and when the truth refuses to stay hidden. For years, viewers of the television show Little People, Big World believed they knew the story of Amy Roloff, Matt Roloff, and the woman who later entered the picture, Caryn Chandler. But what if the real story was never shown on camera? Recently, fans began circulating a shocking rumor. According to people close to the family, Amy may have uncovered something happening behind the scenes at Roloff Farms. And what she allegedly did next has stunned viewers. Some claim she quietly began watching, listening, waiting. And then came the moment people are now calling the undercover sting. A moment that may have protected the farm, exposed hidden intentions, and changed the future of the Roloff legacy forever. But to understand how things reached this point, we have to go back to the beginning. Back to when the Roloff family first opened their lives to the world. Because the story of love, loyalty, and betrayal did not start with a confrontation. It started with a dream. And that dream was Roloff Farms. Backstory. Long before controversy and rumors filled online discussions, the Roloff family became one of the most recognizable families on reality television. When Little People, Big World first aired, audiences were introduced to Matt and Amy Roloff and their 4 children living on a beautiful farm in Oregon. The show stood out because it was more than entertainment. Both Matt and Amy live with dwarfism, and the series offered viewers a rare and honest look at their lives. It showed the challenges they faced, the humor in their everyday moments, and the love that held their family together. At the heart of it all was Roloff Farms. The farm was not just property. It was a symbol of everything the family had built together. Pumpkin seasons brought thousands of visitors. The land became famous. And viewers watched year after year as the family worked, argued, laughed, and grew older. But behind the scenes, life was not always as simple as it appeared. Running a large farm is demanding. Television fame adds pressure. And like many long marriages, Matt and Amy faced disagreements that slowly became harder to hide. During this time, someone else was working closely with Matt on the farm. Her name was Caryn Chandler. Caryn was not originally a television personality. She was part of the farm staff. She helped manage operations and worked closely with Matt during the busy pumpkin season events. For years, viewers saw her only occasionally. But over time, her presence became more noticeable. And eventually, everything changed. At the height of the show's popularity, the Roloff family seemed unstoppable. Little People, Big World had become one of the most recognizable reality shows on television. Fans loved the farm. They loved the family dynamics. And they loved watching the children grow up. Roloff Farms itself became a tourist destination. During pumpkin season, thousands of people lined up to see the famous property they had watched on television. Matt Roloff was often described as the visionary behind the farm's big projects. He constantly built new attractions and dreamed up ways to expand the property. Amy Roloff brought a different energy. She focused on the emotional side of family life. She organized gatherings, supported the kids, and kept traditions alive. To viewers, they seemed like opposites who somehow made it work. But as years passed, the pressure of fame and business began to create distance between them. Arguments appeared on screen more frequently. Small disagreements started feeling bigger. And fans began noticing a shift in the atmosphere of the show. At the same time, Caryn Chandler was becoming more involved in farm operations. She knew the property. She knew the business. And she worked closely with Matt during important seasons. To many viewers, she simply looked like a trusted employee. But others began asking quiet questions. Questions that would later become much louder. Cracks. Reality television has a strange effect on relationships. The cameras capture moments, but they do not always capture the full story. Over time, fans of Little People, Big World began noticing tension between Matt and Amy. Conversations became sharper. Arguments lasted longer. And some viewers believed that something deeper was happening behind the scenes. Eventually, Matt and Amy made a difficult announcement. After many years of marriage, they decided to separate. For longtime fans, the news was heartbreaking. The couple had been together for decades. Their story had been part of television history. The separation raised many questions. But what happened next made those questions even louder. Not long after the divorce became official, Matt began publicly dating Caryn Chandler. For some viewers, the timeline felt uncomfortable. Caryn had worked closely with Matt for years. Now she was suddenly his partner. Rumors began spreading online. Some fans believed the relationship had started long before it became public. Amy herself later hinted that boundaries may not have been respected during her marriage. And slowly, the friendly image of the farm began to feel more complicated. Trust, once broken, can change everything. And some people close to the situation claim Amy started paying closer attention to what was happening around the farm. Breaking point. Roloff Farms was not just land. It was a legacy. And as the years passed, the future of that legacy became a major issue. The Roloff children had grown up. Some of them hoped one day to take over the property. Fans assumed the farm would stay within the family. But business decisions can create conflict, even in the closest families. Matt eventually made it clear that selling part of the farm was an option. This decision created serious tension, especially with his son Zach. The possibility of outsiders owning part of the property shocked many fans. And according to people close to the situation, this was when Amy allegedly became concerned about how decisions were being made. Some rumors suggest Amy believed certain conversations about the farm were happening privately between Matt and Caryn, decisions that could shape the future of Roloff Farms. While no official proof of an undercover sting has ever been confirmed publicly, fans continue to speculate that Amy may have gathered information before stepping away from the property. Whether through conversations, careful observation, or simply experience after years on the farm, Amy appeared to understand the situation clearly. Eventually, she made a bold decision. She sold her remaining portion of Roloff Farms to Matt. To some viewers, it looked like she was giving up. But others believe she was protecting herself from a much bigger conflict. Fallout. Once Amy officially left Roloff Farms, the emotional impact became clear. For decades, that property had been her home. It was where she raised her children. It was where viewers watched her life unfold. Walking away could not have been easy. But Amy did not disappear. Instead, she began building a new chapter. She eventually married Chris Marek and moved into a new home. Their relationship brought a calmer energy into her life. Meanwhile, Matt continued managing the farm. Caryn Chandler remained by his side. But the public conversation around the Roloff family had changed. Fans debated the past. They discussed whether certain relationships had started earlier than expected. And they questioned what the future of Roloff Farms would look like. Reality television had once presented the farm as a perfect family dream. Now the story felt more complicated, more human, more real. Today, the Roloff family continues to live their lives, but the dynamic is very different from the early seasons of Little People, Big World. Amy Roloff appears happier in her new chapter. She focuses on family, travel, and her life with Chris. Matt Roloff continues to pursue projects and development ideas on the farm. Caryn Chandler remains part of his life, although public reactions to their relationship still spark debate among longtime viewers. The children have their own families and responsibilities now. And the future of Roloff Farms remains uncertain. Some fans believe the farm will eventually leave the family entirely. Others hope it will somehow return to the next generation. But one thing is certain. The Roloff story is no longer the simple family fairy tale that first appeared on television. Stories like this remind us that reality television only shows pieces of the truth. Behind every camera are real emotions, real disappointments, real choices. Amy Roloff's journey shows how someone can walk away from a painful chapter and still build a peaceful future. Matt Roloff's story shows the risks of mixing business, family, and personal relationships. And the entire Roloff family reminds viewers that fame does not protect anyone from difficult decisions. Sometimes protecting yourself means letting go of something you once loved, even if that something is a place that helped define your life. Roloff Farms still stands in Oregon, surrounded by fields that have witnessed decades of family memories. Children once played there. Families once visited during pumpkin season. And millions of viewers watched the story unfold on television. But like every family legacy, the future of the farm will depend on the choices still to come. Will the Roloff legacy survive another generation? Or will the land eventually become just another piece of reality television history? Only time will answer that question. But one thing is certain. The story of Amy, Matt, and Caryn will always remain one of the most talked about chapters in the history of Little People, Big World. And if you have followed the Roloff family over the years, this story is far from over.